Now, I've made my stance on Switch 2 upgrade packs very clear. Buying a $450 console, then needing to pay an additional $10 simply to take advantage of this new console's stronger hardware, isn't going to help move units in software or hardware. However, recently some of Nintendo's upgrade packs have focused more on additional features and content rather than just serving as a next-gen tax. While at launch almost all upgrade packs centered around performance and visuals, recently Animal Crossing provided that segment of the upgrade free of charge, with the upgrade pack's expansion feeling more like conventional DLC by a different name. They're the type of upgrade packs I can get behind, to breathe a little more life into Switch games with more life to give. Not only can reusing some of these assets save on development time and money, but give those upgrading consoles the opportunity to experience something new without the need to drop $70 on a brand new game, essentially locking the definitive editions behind the Switch 2 to encourage console sales. Had me thinking what other titles have the pull to entice new and existing players, to which Super Smash Bros. Ultimate was quick to come to mind. With all characters returning, more stages than ever, it's a polished culmination of one of gaming's most beloved fighting game franchises. Even if some late character additions may have disrupted the balance of power, it was designed to stand the test of time, serving as Sakurai's final contribution to the series. However, you have to assume they're not just going to call it quits and abandon the billion-dollar franchise, so where do you go from here? Would they try and add an additional dimension? Perhaps just stick to what works and revamp the roster? I think they start by evaluating one area where Smash Ultimate is greatly overshadowed by a previous entry, the story mode. Now, there are some people who loved World of Light. I'm not one of those people, but I bet even they remember being on the edge of their seat wondering how Samus and Pikachu were going to break out of that lab. Anyone who ever owned Super Smash Bros. Brawl would perk up just at the word Subspace Emissary, the crossover episode no one ever knew they needed. While World of Light was a good excuse to introduce the spirits mechanic and play some characters you typically might not, Brawl story mode could have done numbers in the box office alone. Hard to believe it's a short film. There's a cutscene just about every time you get done fighting. Had like 6 different storylines taking place, all tied together by escaping some guy just trying to blow everything up, who turns out to be taking orders from this blue man. You're invested in characters you've never met, running through courses with some of the hardest remixes you've ever heard, fighting a brand new set of enemies as well as legendary foes Diddy Kong has no reason to be dueling. Truly peak cinema. On the other hand, World of Light, you get like 3 cutscenes the whole time. And they're not bad. I got all hyped for Kirby making it out, but just to be planted on this gargantuan map where I'd have to fight like 200 gimmick fights just to watch another 3-minute cinematic. Most of the time I had absolutely zero clue as to where I was going, or if the story was being progressed at all. Once you stumble across a character you like in the overworld, it's pretty easy to max out a spirit that complements them and breeze through almost every fight. There's just so many. I found myself just trying to find the quickest way to the end, eventually cutting my losses after the second cutscene dropped me into what seemed to be the second half of the exact same thing. Recently I'd had the thought of this game's upgrade pack to emphasize a World of Light 2.0, filling in the gaps the current mode leaves. However, Nintendo might as well make the movie at that point. They'd be looking at a couple hours of cutscenes just for every 10th fight to have one. Not to mention, wouldn't make much sense for the spirits to be involved. You'd be in a cutscene with Tyranitar, gameplay starts up and it's just a tall King K. Rool. You could ignore the spirits aspect, but then there's little reason for this to be a World of Light. Might as well use a name with a bit more pull. And I genuinely believe a Subspace Emissary expansion could have quite the pull. Not that the story exactly set itself up for a sequel, but the nostalgia associated makes it one of the few titles capable of pushing console sales as if it were a brand new title. Sure, Switch 2 Mario Party you can stack Goombas on your head, Zelda's upgrade pack provides access to Zelda notes on your phone, but they're more the type of upgrades Switch 2 owners consider purchasing, not the type people purchase a Switch 2 for. We're talking $20 for a story mode add-on to accompany a game that's already sold 37 million units. It has a huge base of players to sell to already. Even for those first buying into a Switch 2, it'd match their new premium price point of $80. Like Mario Kart 8, this title could very well span 2 console generations, helping to buy some time for a new gimmick or simply to wait out those who still remember about this being the Smash grand finale. Now, I don't dabble with fiction. I won't sit here and try to tell you how the story should go, but there are 3 key points that I see as essential if they're going to pursue this route. The first being that the campaign would need an online multiplayer option. It certainly fits the theme of that button on the bottom right of the Switch. If the story encouraged co-op, people would have a reason to convince their friends to purchase it and play through it together. Most times friends have that one person that's not as good, and they might not be interested in paying $20 to revisit an old game for some more belt with new characters. Might be more enticing to smash with the homies than against the homies. One more reason for some to pay their Nintendo Online bill. I played Subspace Emissary with a friend in 2021. Random weeknight during college, 2 exams the next day. Still almost beat the whole thing in one go, despite the input delay of a laggy Wii console. Now's one of the busier times in my life. I'm sitting on a backlog of at least 10 games right now. Let Zig call me up and say Subspace 2 just dropped. Nintendo would have my $20 by the end of the day. 2. The DLC characters need to be included. I understand people may have already paid the $25, might be irked to know they could have profited $600 if they invested in Nvidia instead of Min Min. However, currently price is a very sensitive subject, and the last thing needed is for the excitement to be killed over negative publicity around all the content totaling over $100. They've been released for 5 years. I think almost everyone who wants them bad enough has them by now. And 3. There needs to be a couple new characters that are unlocked while playing the story. Not saying this needs to have a whole other pack of fighters, but some sort of reward encouraging people to revisit the game for more than just a quick online match and the realization they are indeed past their prime. Finally add Waluigi, or whoever this cool-ass owl ends up evolving into. Characters that can tie into the story, but also push the content for those wanting a new challenge online. At the end of the day, more characters by themselves could be an interesting thought. New power struggle could spark a little life into the game. I'd like to see what improved graphics look like. I could list 5 ideas off the back of my hand. But I don't want that to be their justification to charge $10, $20 and call it a day, solely improving the quality of life for those still running up the digits in Elite Smash. Sure, the amount of non-Nintendo characters present could pose some issues trying to include everyone in the story. Unfortunately, I don't know anyone familiar with the going rates in terms of licensing fees. But while it'd be cool to see everyone take part, I don't believe anyone's going to lose sleep over Kazuya being absent. Put some feelers out, see which companies take interest that you can reasonably get into the game. I'm not suggesting they go cast 60 more famous voice actors to produce the next big Nintendo film, or that they put together 60 hours worth of content they end up selling at a loss just to sell some more Switch 2s. But for a franchise laying dormant with this much potential, I'd hate to see the use of its upgrade pack go to waste. Much like I hate to see you go. I appreciate you watching till the end though. Hopefully by some sort of invisible string you'll hear from me again. Or you could watch my last video on how Nintendo should have capitalized on the hype around their recent movie and hear from me right now. Either way, you have a good one.